Hello.
Hey, man, Bobby.
Bobby, it's good to talk to you again, my friend.
How are you, dude?
I am doing wonderful. How is everything in the world of Bobby Blitz?
Doing well, doing promotion. I'm going from one conversation to the next without a comma.
Sounds about right. You know, I was getting ready for the interview and I was going through, and you guys have already done, 3 of the advanced previews of the album. You've done 3 of the trailers, the track by track. I'm like, what's left to ask him? We can just talk religion and politics now, you know?
Oh, God. I try to avoid politics, but religion I'm all over. If you want to start talking about anything. The best thing I heard about religion, and I'm not trying to give away political affiliation because this has nothing to do with it. But when the Pope said Mass down in the Rio Grande, he sat there between El Paso and Juarez, Mexico. And he was saying a Mass, and he condemned the fact that Donald Trump wanted to build a wall. And the next day, Donald Trump came on the news and said, who's he to say anything? He lives inside a wall. And that's pretty sharp.
That's awesome, man. All right, so Overkill, year 37, album number 18. The grinding wheel indeed rolls on and on.
I think so. I think we got something special here. I mean, knowing me now for some time, you know that excitement is part of the equation with me. But this is genuine excitement about this record. There's a great production. There's a great amount of diversity on this record, a great amount of thrash energy, but, influences that cover rock and roll, punk, groove, epic feels, the new wave of British heavy metal and classic heavy metal. So I think we got something that, for some reason, came out of us as something special and something to be remembered.
I was going to say, to my ear, The Grinding Wheel is a more diverse record than White Devil Armory, which was more thrash-centric, if you will. Tell us about the record from your perspective, because there is some great diversity and there's some great nuance going on there.
Well, to say it's diverse is one thing. To hear its diversity is another. But for instance, a song like The Long Road, and I could feel that where it was coming from was Days Gone By. Now, the key here is to grab that vibe of the new wave of British heavy metal, inject the Overkill energy, give it a fresh coat of paint and a face for 2017. So when we started getting these feels like The Long Road being this way, Goddamn Trouble having a funky feel to it, some rock and roll, and we'll go to Hades. It seemed to me we started pushing them farther and farther away from each other with regard to not necessarily presentation, but songwriting. And I think at the end of the day, by putting the Overkill stamp on it with the energy, this is what gives the record a cohesiveness, something where each song works off of each other, but each song is individual unto itself, as opposed to similarities between songs.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think you did that really well. And I heard Dee Dee talking about doing the sequencing on it, and he said it was really difficult for this album. How much effort do you guys put into the sequencing of records? How important is that to you?
Well, it is important because, I mean, as long as I can remember with writing with Dee Dee, when I get one of his early demos, which are they're not cut perfectly. It's one guitar, drum machine. There's always a song on it that says opener. So that's the only place we know where to start. And that was obviously Mean Green Killing Machine. So it left 9 places open behind that. Usually they show themselves like, oh, this is the best song we do after the opener, or this, we kind of rate them ourselves. But as we were rating this, because of the diversity in each, it was hard to rate. If the record was a groove record, for instance, maybe Come Heavy would be the second song. Or if the record held the personalities of White Devil Armory or Ironbound, then Our Finest Hour would have been a perfect second song. But we had a hard time doing this. But we do take pride in the fact that everything that you see or hear with regard to Overkill comes across our desks. I mean, this is our thing. It's not somebody else's idea of what we should be like. This is our approval versus some objective opinion from the outside. So we do take pride in it, but it was a pain in the ass putting this together. Eventually, we knew it was Mean Green at the front end and the title track on the back. Everything else was up for grabs in the center.
Now, did Andy Sneap, who did the mixing and mastering, the legend, of course, Did he have any role in the sequencing or the sound of the record?
Well, he didn't have anything to do with regard to sequencing, of course, but with regard to the outcome of the record, I think, Andy's input here was turning something good into something great, in my opinion. He's got great ears, just fantastic, understands, especially this niche genre of metal. I mean, Andy's a musician, besides just being somebody who works behind the board. I mean, with his own band, Hell, for instance. So, you take Andy's template and you take our input or our wishes for that record. And what we supplied him, we said, hey, more organic drums, thicker guitars. We want you to think 1992 with regard to these guitars. And we're going to provide that sound for you. But it's got to be mixed correctly within how you hear this, as opposed to what our vision of this is. So he became Mr. Objectivity with regard to this record. And I think he did just a stand-up stellar job on it.
Lyrically, you always hang on to thoughts, words, ideas that develop between records and writing stuff down here and there as they occur to you. What were some of the ideas or issues that were sort of still resonating with you when you got ready to start writing the lyrics for this one?
Well, I spoke on this record about a lot of the stuff I know. It's a record that holds a lot of principles. Oh, geez. I suppose those principles, with the most I know, is what I've learned through this 37-year journey. And I still think to some degree I'm learning and adjusting, but there's for sure unity here. There's for sure courage. There's for sure honesty. There's for sure commitment and dignity, for instance, on the top end of things. But there's also talking about lies. There's also talking about betrayal, for instance, on hard work, for instance, in the grinding wheel. But if you took, for instance, Our Finest Hour, it's really a conversation between two guys or two people. And one has the experience and one has none. And one has the incentive and one has none. One has the competence and one has none. And all he says is, if you can't get through it, it's very easy. Follow me. So it's, these are kind of things that I feel I know a lot about. Now, obviously, writing about them abstractly makes it a little bit more interesting for me to sing. But they're things that I've experienced or have experience with.
This is your 18th album. How long does it take you after you've recorded and released a record before you can look back at it objectively?
I'm not at that point yet. I'm still at the excitement point. It usually takes me approximately a year. And I think the reason for that is that it has 17 brothers and sisters. Right. You can't really just throw it in there and go, oh, it's the best. It's the prettiest baby we ever had. I mean, they're all great in my opinion. But the excitement or the level of excitement kind of gives you a premonition to where you're going to put it in that list of the other 17. And this one, for some reason, has generated me personally that high level of excitement. But I think it's based on its production and that diversity that we spoke of early on in the interview.
For me, it's my favorite album so far since you did the Ironbound one back in 2010. This one has resonated with me the most. And I think that's the great thing, too, is each album strikes a different chord with the listener.
It's a good point. And how do you do that? We kind of caught a wave with Ironbound and then, followed it up with the Electric Age and White Devil Armory. And they really, to some degree, they were the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They have this a template for us that seemed to work for us and did at a pretty high level. But I think somewhere in there becomes boredom for us when we say, oh, we're not going to do that again, are we? That kind of a thing. And when these riffs started showing themselves, I would just get something really simple and really bare from Dee Dee, or Dee Dee and Dave would put something together, or they'd play it for me on the bus. I started seeing that what they were coming up with together or alone was really traditional heavy metal. And I thought that was really a cool direction. Nobody really talked about it. It was just kind of a nod and a wink. But the idea of saying, okay, it's not the template that was before. I can hear these drums just from the way the riff is going. If we put the energy into it, it's going to have the Overkill brand on it. But the origin of the riff is going to be very different from what is preceded this on the prior three records.
And like you said, you can really sort of hear that classic influence in various parts of the album and everything. You guys, as you always do, wrote a fantastic album opener with Mean Green Killing Machine. And you guys have made opening tracks sort of an art form. You can always know what to expect with that. So looking back over your canon of work, the other 17 children, if you will, which album opener, besides the new one, obviously, is the best in your mind?
Yeah, that's great. Because it's a great question because we've sat around and laughed about this in dressing rooms. I mean, you can just picture it like, five sweaty dudes, shirts are off, the beers are open, just sweating all over the couch after a show. And somebody out of the blue says, what would be fun? Why don't we just do all the openers from every record? Make that our live set. And then the next guy goes, we'll be exhausted. What fucking crazy. These are the ones that have the most energy. Now, in my opinion, the best song that we ever did as an opener, and I'm going to go between two. In the old era was a song called Deny the Cross off of Taking Over. And in the middle era, it would be Necroshine, the title track off the same record.
You segued quite nicely into this year happens to mark the 30th anniversary of the second album, Taking Over, which features some iconic Overkill tracks. Can you take us back briefly and tell us your memories of making that record?
It was a unique time because, it followed up our first record, Feel the Fire, which was just chaos. And we didn't really know we were part of this music scene or business during Feel the Fire. We were just living and riding that chaos wave. And now we're in a position where we had to do a second record. And the chaos kind of melted away and reality set in. I think what we were really lucky about was there was 3 or 4 songs that were done prior to us going into any kind of writing sessions for this. And those songs were Wrecking Crew, In Union We Stand. Those songs were already done up to this point. So we brought some of that chaos with us to the second thing. What I remember personally was I developed nodes or pops on my vocal cords during the touring for Feel the Fire and had to start taking singing lessons to learn how to sing correctly. And I wore the polyps down, but it cleaned my voice up a little. So when I listen back to that record, I always listen to this wall of guitars where we started, let's say, formulating our sound. But then when they dropped me in to sing, I was almost unrecognizable to myself because it was a different person from the Feel the Fire record. So that's what I remember as a personal thing. But when that was all said and done, I think that we were holding something pretty special back then for a sophomore release.
You still play several of those tracks live almost habitually, so it stands the test of time for sure. All
yeah,
right.
Man.
So last question. This week, the inaugural Hall of Heavy Metal History Awards are happening in Los Angeles. Lemmy, Dio, Scorpions, Rudy Sarzo, a bunch of people, Metal Blade Records, all being inducted into this first thing. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hasn't done anything for heavy metal, so we now have our own metal awards. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's good for recognition. I mean, first and foremost, all the way back when these riffs were just starting to, come out of somebody's head and through the fretboard and then out through the amp, whether that be the Metallica guys or someone who